We've been waiting for the NDC presidential and parliamentary primaries for so long. Now we are just days away, but now we are asking two fundamental questions. Is it on or is it off? As we speak tonight, the NDC has been in a desperate effort trying to get the courts to abridge the time to hear this injunction application that the camp of Dr. Kwabena Duffuor has filed. They have succeeded in the last few hours to get the court to agree to move the original date for hearing of that injunction application from Monday to Friday. But the big question is, will they succeed in convincing the court to allow the process to go ahead on Saturday? There are big question marks on this going forward. And tonight we're going to get into the very latest because a lot has happened since 5 p.m. when we learned that the NDC has been successful in getting this through. So where are we tonight? We are at a place where the Electoral Commission has told the NDC that they will not be able to supervise their elections. That's where we are tonight. And that the key thing that they've made, the reason why they've made that point to the NDC is because of the injunction application, the EC will not want to be in a situation of contempt of court. And so because of that, the EC chairperson met with the national chairman of the NDC, together with many of the representatives of, John Mahama, as well as Dr. Kwabena Duffuor, and also the representative of Kojo Bonsu, and sat in the room, and the EC told them this. But we've learned a bit more that wasn't in the official statement that the Electoral Commission sent to the party, officially telling them that they're not going to be part of this. Because we also learned that the camp of Dr. Kwabena Duffuor, apparently way before this matter even became public, the issues surrounding the legibility of some of the candidates and delegates across the country, but also credibility of the voters register, the camp of Dr. Kwabena Duffuor had actually sent a petition to the Electoral Commission complaining that some of the rules that had been agreed to govern the process had been violated. The EC, in this meeting with the NDC today, had actually raised that as well. From what we learned, that the EC chairperson told Joseph Sudi Nketia and the reps of the party that her committee had been meeting with the NDC Elections Committee as well. The EC and the NDC committee, they've been meeting for quite a while, planning the May 13th primaries. And they had agreed in these meetings that on some of the ground rules, the guiding principles that will govern the primaries. The key one was that the aspirants will get the voters register 7 clear days before the vote. According to the Dr. Kwabena Duffuor's camp, that hasn't happened. And the EC had called today's meeting actually to address that petition. And then they got slapped with this injunction application, and they were citing that as well. And so now they are not participating. But here's the thing, though. As we've learned today, the EC can actually decide not to participate, but the NDC can decide to still go ahead with that particular primary without the EC supervision. It is not mandated in law. If it had been the election of national executives, the Political Parties Act would have made it mandatory for the EC to supervise it, not the election of primaries. And here are the issues that Dr. Kwabena Duffuor and his team have been putting forward. If you have not heard already, let me bullet them for you. The key thing is about the album, the voters register, which they say is, as we stand now, inaccurate, and what they have is also not a full complement of the register. Again, they've made the point that they are now beginning to see partial photo album register on May 4. That's what they've been giving. Yet they have elections on Saturday. And then the issue about the constituencies that they have outstanding. Only 220 constituencies in the album instead of 228 indicated by the party. They also raise the issue about the inaccuracy of the album as it stands now. These are very intriguing, complex issues that the party will have to resolve. There have been several meetings, 1-2 days ago, and the Duffuor camp say they were told, listen, the issues you have legitimate. We can't resolve it all, so we will try and now put everything together, resolve it and give you one complete whole register. They say they have not been given that yet, which is really subject of a lot of controversy. The court will have to decide now. The court will have to decide, unless between now and Saturday morning, they find a way to get Dr. Kwabena Dufo to withdraw his suit from court. This is going to be a Herculean task to convince the court if indeed they can produce this evidence there. But the party says they don't have a case. So they want this, in essence, the court to say, you cannot go ahead to hold the primaries, which is really the fundamental one. Prevent the party from going ahead to hold the primaries on May 13th. And when that happens, that injunction is granted. You now have to move into, adjudicating about the main matter that could drag for a long time. The NDC wanted to do the primaries in May 13th for a reason. You want to elect your flag bearer early. You also want to elect your parliamentary representatives early, your candidates early, so you can unite the party. Because after every election, there are fractures. You have enough time to market both your presidential candidate and your parliamentary candidates, and then you could also possibly put yourself in a position to win elections next year. And that is why they can't afford to miss the May 14, the May 13 date for the primary. So there's a lot at stake here as far as this is concerned going into an elections. Also today, we heard from the other candidates also contesting the presidential race. Kojo Bonsu had thrown his hat into the race and said, listen, he actually agrees that there are issues with the register. And he cites with Dr. Kwabena before he did an interview in Kumasi today making that point precisely. So you begin to see at least two of the aspirants agreeing on this very important point. What will the party do between now and Saturday is a key question that we need to be asking. But the party has a position. Abraham Maleba, who is my guest tonight, is the party's director of legal. And he disputes all the claims. He says it's frivolous because the party had given them the album way back. And so he doesn't see why this is an issue. And so he filed the abridgment of time and he secured it, right? That is a minor win. The major consideration is what the court will do on the day. Now, why are we now talking about this? Why is this such a big deal? Because three giants in the party are facing off in a crucial race. Who are these individuals in question? First of all is John Dramani Mahama. He's the main one. Many people say he is the presumptive nominee who is going to win this anyway. But the bigger point that people haven't averted their minds to is the question of margin of victory is absolutely critical to John Mahama. He needs an emphatic, overwhelming victory. Other than that, he will be limping after the victory. That's why this is crucial. That is why this is absolutely crucial, because he has a track record as a president himself. The NPP, they figured him out. They believe that they know how to tear him down. You don't want to arm them in one more arsenal, which is that you claim you have a total and absolute control over the NDC, and yet you barely won that elections. That is a narrative he wants to avoid. And today he's been saying that he wants a victory in the region of 100%. Pardon me. He wants a victory in the region of 100%. That's how bad he wants this. He wants to win, but he wants to win with a handsome margin. Who else is in there? Kojo Bonsu is in there as well. Many say he's not going to perform as much creditably compared to him. Many put him at the bottom of the pile, but can he take a bit of the votes from him and affect his ambition to get close to 100%? Yes, he can. And he's going to the Ashanti region and he's been campaigning there. I'll tell you why very shortly, why almost all the candidates, with the exception of John Mahama, have focused extremely, almost intensely in the Ashanti region. I'll tell you why very shortly. They are going back to their roots, but for a reason. They want to eat into that ambition to get close to 100. But here is the man who can do the most damage. Dr. Kwabena Dufo. Now, that is why you've seen this clash between these two gentlemen over the Congress. He's not letting go when it comes to the register, because he knows he can put a significant dent in his ambition to get close to 100, to affirm this, messianic status that he's assumed in the party as the alpha and the omega. If you can dent it and simply possibly even get 20% of the votes, and this man manages some 10%, and he wins by 70, questions will be raised. Questions will be raised. And that's why he doesn't want, but he wants to drag him there. But he has a solid base in the Ashanti region as well. And he's been milking that for all his worth. And that is why he won't let the register go. Because, listen, and I must say this, I doubt if he believes sincerely that he will win this race against John Mahama. But he wants to put in a good showing to make a point. And it's a very, very big point, right? Why are these two focusing on the Ashanti region? Why are they focused on the Ashanti region? Ashanti region has the second largest constituency of delegates going into the elections on Saturday, right? And that's the figure there that you see on your screen. A huge number of delegates that they are working with. As much as 61,000 delegates in the Ashanti region. 61,000 is huge. Only Greater Accra comes close. If you eat into this and secure significant margins here, you can pick up a few, votes across the country, and you are inching closer and eating into John Mahama's desire to get 100%. That is why Ashanti region is critical. Greater Accra too, right? Of course. But you go to where you know. You go to where your people are. You go to where people already know you. And that is why him is going back to his roots. And remember, his son is contesting the Trafran Plains in the Ashanti region as well. Why? They know that's their base. They know that's their base. And so they can tap into this 61,000 delegates and dent John Mahama's ambitions to get close to 100% in the race. Look, this issue of 100%, we've seen a certain candidate do so too before, and he won the elections eventually. His name is Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. When he won the last primary, he won it massively. Over 90% of the votes swept across the country, and the delegates voted for him overwhelmingly. He solidified his control over the party then. No wonder he won the next elections after that victory. And that is what he wants to replicate. And that's why the fight is happening. Because I know many of you have said, but why is Dr. Konrad before fighting this? Because he knows he's not going to win. No, it's not about that at all. It's about what I've just told you. Tonight we're going to sit down and have a conversation. The big question is this on or is it off? My guests are joining me for a conversation. Please stay with me. And thanks for staying with us. My guest joining me in the studio is Kofi Kukubo. He is with the Dr. Kwabena Duffuor campaign team. He's been the, I don't not say the lone voice, but the main prominent voice speaking to all the issues. His name has been mentioned as one who has been very instrumental, even in the monitoring of the process, printing ballot papers, etc. So he's a man to talk to. And I'm happy that you join us in the studio, Kofi.
Thank you.
Thanks to have you. And also joining us on Zoom is the NDC's Director of Legal, Abraham Amaleba, who today succeeded in securing that abridgment of time, which means that the case, instead of being heard on Monday, will be heard on Friday. How much of a difference does that make? We'll get him to talk to us pretty shortly. We'll also be speaking to a representative of John Dramani Mahama. He was in the meeting today with the Electoral Commission together with Kofi and the National Chairman of the Electoral Commission. He's a former Deputy General Secretary of the party. Otokono Peter Bom Otokono will join us also. But I want to start first with the Electoral Commission. And that's why I'm delighted to say that we can bring in right now the EC's Director of Electoral Services, Dr. Serebo Kwaku, who is on the line with us right now via phone. Doc, thanks for your time here on PMX. Just very quickly, today you've written to the NDC and you've told them that you will not be in a position to supervise elections until they are done or settle or deal with their legal issues. The party accepts that from what I understand, the party accepts what your position as it is. But explain to me why that decision became necessary, because many say that this was just an application for an injunction that was served on you. It hasn't been granted yet, it's yet to be debated. So maybe this decision may be premature. Explain why the EC had to settle on this.
Evans, and my regards to your other guests and viewers. As you said, we are in charge of elections in Ghana, but some elections are constitutional, some are through acts, and some through by individual situations and organizations' constitution. So the NDC wrote to us that we should help organize their presidential and parliamentary primaries for them. We had not less than 6 meetings with them at our head office. Then we came to agreement that the party should serve all delegates and everybody should be treated fairly, as they themselves will be want to get when they go into an election. So all along, our thinking was that there are no issues with respect to the registers and the rest. So we received a letter from, or a petition from the Dr. Dufour's camp. So the commission invited the party, its election committee members, and the reps of the various candidates. The meeting was scheduled for today. But before the meeting will take place today, we received an application for injunction yesterday. So the commission took a decision, which all the parties are aware, that with respect to the Electoral Commission, when there's an application for injunction, we treat it as if the injunction has been granted. If we talk to different lawyers, they have different understanding or interpretation. So we wouldn't want to be cited for contempt, because we have had a lot of contempt cases against us over the years. So whenever you talk of injunction, we will want you to address the issue. So when they came today, instead of the initial plan of seeking amicable settlement with them, we said that now that it has gone to court, it is now beyond our powers. So the chairperson informed them that we want to stand aside and allow them to settle their court issues, so that when they finish, we will come. And when he made a statement, the chairperson, Mr. Sidin Katia, said he knew that has always been our stand. So he appreciates it, and he said that they will go and put their house in order and come back. So if you ask me, this is what happened today.
Okay, so clarify. So on Friday, when this is heard, the EC will only go in there and supervise if there's a clear direction from the court that you can proceed.
Yes. So as you said, we are waiting for the court, and the directions of the court will be followed.
Will be followed. Okay. And what does the law say about the EC's mandate when it comes to such internal party elections?
Let me separate them into two. We have the Political Parties Act that talks about internal executive elections, being the constituency executive election, regional executive election, and national executive election. And the law is clear that they shall be organized under the supervision of the Electoral Commission. Our understanding is that when they come to the organization, they will be in charge of their own registers, they will fill their own dates, prepare their own ballot paper. Then we'll go and help them to implement the election itself. So when it is executive elections, we are mandated to supervise for them. But when it comes to the political party primaries, the law doesn't talk about that. So our understanding is that when it comes to presidential parliamentary primaries, they can do their own things and submit their candidates when there's a time for nomination. So over the years, especially the smaller parties, they don't normally do these primaries. They will be there and they just come and submit their candidates. But the two big parties and some of the other parties, they know that if they were to do it themselves, it will create a lot of problems for them. And they believe in the credibility of the commission organizing section. So when it is time for their presidential and parliamentary primaries, they will write to us, we will meet them, we have agree on the modality, and we do for them.
I mean, so bottom line, the NDC can actually decide to go ahead without you if they get a clearance from the court.
That is understanding of the commission.
Okay. And as we speak tonight, I know the case is still yet to be decided, yet to even be heard in court. But how far along preparations were you before this happened?
Even today, we were supposed to even start sending the ballot papers to the regent. But we have not also received the registers. So we were thinking, because I remember I called them and they said they were going to bring them to us today at 12 o'clock. I'm talking of the registers. So we have the ballot papers, which we could have sent them today for the process to kick start. But because of this issue, and some people were saying that we should start the preparation and wait. In 2014, if you remember the district level election, somebody in Winneba went to court, and the court, in the course of it, we were thinking that we can be going ahead with our public education and that. But the court said that it will be contemptuous in the sense that while the case is before them, everything should cease for them to come out with a verdict before we can rush. So that is why we even carried the ballot papers and we have stopped. Because it will mean that we are still going about our preparation, and which the court will frown over us. So these are some of the reasons why we have put everything on hold.
Yeah, so there's just something I wanted to clarify. With 3 days to go to the polls, you're saying that the NDC still had not given you, the supervisors of the primaries, the register?
Yes, we don't have the register.
Okay. When were you expecting to get it? Because I know you've been meeting with the NDC's election committee for a while. Did you have an understanding? Did you set rules on when you should receive it? What was it?
The agreement was that we should have the registers and the ballot papers at least a week to the election.
Okay.
So these things should have been made available to a long time ago.
Okay.
Because we knew that when such things are done, you have people petitioning and the rest. So we were thinking that if I'm putting it early enough, they would have addressed any challenges that may come out of it. Okay. There have been instances where we will go for the election, and if at the end of the election, the letter will go to you, and you will have to be making calls so that while you are doing the election, the new names will be added and subtracted and the rest. So these things, I think this should be a lesson to the political parties that when they are going to do anything, they should plan far ahead of time so that we will not be having challenges with the registers and the ballot papers.
Okay, and you've been supervising party elections for so long. Is it unusual not to have a register 3 days into the main elections from a party?
No, that's what I was saying, that it is something that they have been doing, and we always have issues. So that's why this time we told them that they should bring them early enough so that all challenges will be addressed.
Okay.
But as I said, some of them, even you will be at the venue, and that is the time that you are going to get the register.
Oh, I see.
They are not the best. So that's why we wanted to avoid all these challenges by asking that at least we should have them a week before they will roll out their activities.
Dr. Sribo Kwaku, thank you very much for offering us
Is
that.
the name Kwaku?
Oh, Dr. Sribo Kwaku, thank you very much. My good friend indeed. Thank you very much, Doc, for your time and for offering us that. So that gives us some great clarity. But I need to put something to Abraham Maliba, who is thankfully is joining us via Zoom before I come to the studio. Mr. Maliba, so even if you disregard the Dr. Kablandu for concern, if you listen to the Electoral Commission, it actually tells a story of a process that definitely is flawed in some way. And that then raises questions about, well, and Dr. Kablandu and team just asking for what the, the rules say for you to implement your own rules and regulations. They're not asking for anything beyond what everybody expects for a free and fair elections, are they? Even if the Electoral Commission hasn't got theirs. Hello, Mr. Maliba. I noticed that
Can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Yes. So good evening to your viewers. Let me say that our elections are governed by our own guidelines. They are not governed by the Electoral Commission's guidelines. And so when you look at our guidelines, they are very clear. The guidelines talks about delegates list. The guidelines do not talk about photo album. So if the guidelines are talking about delegates list, the next question to ask is, has the party finished the aspirants with the delegates list? The answer is yes.
The full complement, full complement of the delegates list.
Yes, the delegates. That's why when you look at their rates, they are not mentioning the delegates list at all. The delegates list was given to the aspirants in March when the vetting was concluded. So as we speak now, the party has not violated any of its rules. The delegates list have been made available and they have the delegates list. The issue of the voter, the issue of the ballot, the album, the photo albums, that is just an add-on. It is just an addition that the party itself decided to introduce so as to enhance the electoral process. So if you want to go strictly by the guidelines that govern these elections, we have not flouted any regulation. So to hang on and to be fixated with a photo album and make it look like without a photo album, the elections cannot go on, is, for me, misconceived. So do they have the delegates list? The answer is yes. If you ask him, he's in your studios.
So just for clarity, for those of us who are not members of the party, which specific provision in the guidelines makes provision for this rule you talk about, where they have to be given, as you mentioned, delegates list? Which provision specifically?
When you look at the guidelines, and because it's trite knowledge, I don't have my guidelines here. But when you look at the guidelines were given to all the aspirants. So there's a provision there which talks about finishing the aspirants with the delegates list. And I'm saying that it is because we have fulfilled that provision. That's why they are not in court complaining about the delegates list, but they are in court complaining about the photo album. And they are understanding.
Unfortunately, we haven't.
Is that
okay? Yes, Mr. Maleba, we're losing you, but I think you're okay now.
Yes. So the fixation on the photo album is misconceived because the guidelines is talking about the delegates list. And so it is the delegates list that will be used to conduct the elections. But I think they have the assumption that the elections will be done solely by using the voter photo album. But the main document that will be used to conduct the elections is the delegates list.
Okay.
And they have it.
So please stay with me. I think that point has been made emphatically. I'll bring in Kofi Kukubo into that very quickly because that is an issue I need to clarify with him. But the party just issued a statement, and I'm just trying to pull it up now. so we can bring that to you, the details of the statement to you. I'll do that pretty shortly, as and when I can pull it up on my system here, because this is the very latest from what we're learning. The party issuing a statement. It says that the National Democratic Congress, and you see it on your screen now. It says the National Democratic Congress further to a court action on the part of one of the presidential aspirants wishes to assure presidential parliamentary aspirants, as well as members, supporters, and sympathizers, that the party is taking all legitimate and legal steps to pave way for the presidential and parliamentary primaries on Saturday, May 13, 2023. We want to urge party members and the people of Ghana to remain calm as the party, through its legal team, works to resolve the temporary challenge. It will be recalled that Dr. Kwabena Duffuor, one of the 3 presidential aspirants, on Tuesday filed a suit against the party seeking to injunct the primaries. While urging calm among our rank and file, we wish to assure the party, as at April 20th, 2023, had made available the full delegate list to all presidential candidates in line with our commitment stated in our guidelines that this primary document will be furnished to all presidential candidates. The party is therefore confident that this temporary challenge will be quickly overcome to pave way for the holding of the primaries on schedule. It is our expectation that we shall all put the larger interests of our greater party ahead of all considerations, knowing that the good people of Ghana are eagerly looking up to our party come December 7, 2024, to rescue the nation from the current national collapse. And you see signed there by Fifi Fiavikwete, he's the General Secretary of the party. Thankfully, the chief spokesperson, I guess, that's not his official title, but because he's been speaking for Dr. Kwabena Duffuor, I'm not sure he would say, I'm wrong. But let me put it to him, Kofi. So this is just coming from the party, and this is affirming the position that Amaliba had just been making. Can you address that for me? The party puts a date to it now. They say that according to the rules, on the 20th of April, 2023, you were giving the full delegate list, and that is the requirement in the guideline.
Thank you, Evans. Actually, I would have loved Amaliba to quote the guideline, the provision, that stated clearly that the delegate list will be the one that is provided.
But the party backs the position now in this official statement.
Yeah, but they have not quoted any provision. Okay. They keep repeating the same thing. They have not provided any provision. We have a copy of the guidelines because as soon as you file, the guideline is also given to you. We have combed the guideline from page 1 to the last page. Because the case is in court, I will not pass any comment on the guidelines because it will be used. That's why they are not able to mention Regulation 1, Regulation 2 that made that specific decision. It's not there, but they keep referring to it. That's what I'm saying. Where is the provision in the guidelines?
So on the substantive matter, were you not given a full delegate list?
We are talking about voters register. Now, let me establish the difference. Now, delegate list, because we held meeting with them on the 4th, when we queried them on the 4th of May. The meeting was chaired by Elvis Efre Yankra on his designation as the acting chairperson or chairman of the election committee or directorate. We raised serious issues on that, and we asked them, what are you going to use on the day of election? They say the document, the base document that will be used on the day of election is the voter register or the voter album. They have not made mention of the delegate list. We held a meeting, I think there's a minute to that effect. So the last time we met, they did not explain it properly, but we asked them to state it clearly. As they made reference to the voter register, which is the photo album. That will be the base document for election on the day. So if they're now shifting the goalposts in the middle of the game to delegate list, the delegates is only a base document. It's a spreadsheet with names of delegates with a party ID number and then the branches.
All 300,000+ delegates.
It's a spreadsheet. Spreadsheet. It has no other form of validating a person. It's just a spreadsheet. Stating the various position, the branch, etc., etc.
How the register has what else?
Has photo. It has the image. So when a person walks to the polling station, you can identify the person with the ID card. And two important provisions are made. The voter ID card, that is the EC's voter ID card, to indicate that the person, even in the first place, is qualified to vote as a citizen, qualified to vote. Then they have made provision again for party ID card.
This is all in the voters register.
It's all in the voters register.
But the delegates list also is only names.
It's only names, branches, position, then their party ID card.
Yeah, but that is enough to verify.
Without photograph.
But the voters ID card has photos on it.
But anybody can go and pick that name, Madam the one. We have resemblance.
No, but you want to be the leader of the party. I'm sure you've told the country already.
Yes.
If you have person's name, his designation, his position as in branch executive, whatever it is, plus the voter's ID card, that's enough to verify.
How do you verify it? With a spreadsheet.
But that spreadsheet has a photo on it.
No, that's what I'm saying.
No, but he says he has a voter's ID card. The voter's ID card will have your picture.
Okay, voter ID number, not card.
Oh, not the
Sorry,
card.
not the card.
Okay.
Sorry.
So the voter ID number. Okay.
Correct.
But they will tell you if he's a branch executive and where the person is.
Yes.
But
how do you validate it? Because anybody who have access to that person's party ID card can walk in. I'm the one.
But then it goes down to what the rules said.
Yes, so what's the rule?
The party says, the rule says you'll be given delegates list.
So they should give us the provision of the guideline. They should state clearly where that is stated in the guideline.
Okay. So what you're asking for is the voters register?
Because that's what they promised. That's the assurance that has been given.
Verbally. Was this documented?
It's documented. The last meeting we had, we have minutes of
Okay. So let me ask you, since you've also referenced the guide, the written guide to open elections, what is stated in there?
There's nothing stated there on the register.
Okay, away from the register list or whatever, what was stated there as a prerequisite that you will need or will be giving for the primary? Was anything stated there like that, and what was it?
Nothing is stated in the guideline.
But they have some obligations towards you.
Correct.
It must have been stated in their thing.
Exactly.
What was it? What was the obligation?
The obligation primarily is to ensure free and fair elections.
How? But the guideline would have stated how they will deliver that.
It's not stated in the guideline.
But you should have challenged that. You should have raised questions around that.
No, why should we challenge it? Because Regulation 8 of the guideline clearly stipulates the rules that will apply. Because the election shall be conducted by Electoral Commission of Ghana in collaboration with the National Democratic Congress. So purely, if then Regulation 812 states that on the day of elections, the laws of EC shall apply, unless otherwise stated. So therefore, is the EC's law that is applied.
You see, there's a regulation in the guideline.
Correct.
Quote it again. Which regulation is that?
Regulation 8.
Says that the rules of the EC will apply?
On the day of elections. Unless otherwise stated.
On the day of the elections.
Exactly.
Okay. So that's on the day of the elections.
And however,
this is prior to the election.
No. Point one, who is conducting the election?
Electoral Commission?
Correct. So if you have not stated otherwise, in your guideline, the specific rule that will apply, the one conducting the elections, rule will apply.
I don't think that's a fair interpretation, because it says on the day of the election. So on the day of the election, the EC's rules will apply to how you conduct it on the day.
Exactly. So how do you conduct free and fair election on the D-Day?
Yeah.
By using the voter register. Because without the voter register, you cannot conduct elections.
Yeah, the EC confirmed they don't have it too.
Correct.
Okay.
So because you have to analyze which documents are going to be used or materials are going to be used on the day of election. The base document, it's not even the ballot paper, is a voter register. And the EC is saying that as of today, they have not taken delivery of the voter register. So what exactly are they going to use on the day of election for EC's rule to apply?
Okay. This has gone to court. What's your expectation of the court? In fact, you've actually stated it in your suit already. I mean, it just repeated it to say you want an injunction on the process, and you want to be provided with the register that you're requesting. Those are the primary two requests of the court.
You see, when we say we want to be provided with a register, then we are losing focus of what we are asking for. Okay. What we are asking for, that we want a credible register. Okay.
That so not just a register.
No, a credible register.
So that elevates it. So you're saying that because Amaliba said to this afternoon, at 5, when we spoke on radio, that the remainder of the register from 47 constituencies that you met with the party, and the party said, wait, we'll give you, is now ready at the party headquarters. So what you're saying tonight, that even if you get that 47 constituencies to make the full complement of the register, you will still have to subject it to the test of credibility.
Verification.
Verification.
To ensure credibility. Okay, I see. So the stages in the process have been followed. And UC is saying that when they met them, they agreed on at least 7 days that the register must be given to the candidate. And now they are saying 47 is ready.
Not only to the candidate, but to the EC as well.
To the EC as well. And that 7-day rule has even already elapsed.
Okay, let me bring in another rep of one of the other contenders in the race. Peter Boamo Tokuno is in or with the John Mahama campaign team. He's a former Deputy General Secretary of the party. He was part of the meeting today at the Electoral Commission and joins us. Peter, thank you for your time here on PM Express.
Thank you for having me, Ibas.
So I'm curious because we've not heard from John Mahama and at all about this. So I'm curious to know, because you sat in the meetings, and from everything I've heard, even in the previous meetings to try and resolve the challenges, you were in there representing his interest. What was the agreement around what the candidates will receive prior to the primary, and what were the timelines that you all agreed on?
Well, Evans, first of all, in every political party elections, there are established rules and regulations and guidelines. The guidelines are anecdotes which effectualizes aspects of the Constitution. Our Constitution prescribes that for every level of elections, there are certain qualified delegates who vote in that elections. For our presidential elections, the Constitution and as well as the guidelines stipulates who and who.
What just happened there? We may have just lost audio to him.
Because of the work, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, yes.
Okay. So because of the work that you have done, I'm sure you have been exposed somewhat to some legal dictums which prescribes that conventions, when used over a period of time, becomes an acceptable law that combines, that at least, enjoins all parties to follow that convention. Our elections in our party, we have never used any photo album at any level of our elections. Never in the history of the NDC. What we do is that the Constitution prescribes who and who votes at which elections. So we compare what we call the delegates list. Now, the delegates list carries 5 personal information on the delegate. First, the party ID card of the delegate, the sex of the delegate, the age of the delegate, the name of the delegate, and the position of the delegate. So this information is what constitutes the delegate list.
So for every single polling station, or what we in the NDC call the branch, we have 9 executives. The names, the positions, the age, the sex, and the ID numbers of those individuals come together to constitute the delegate list. I contested elections last year as the general secretary.
Yeah.
The delegate list that we used is a combination of the information that I've mentioned on the various individuals who have been prescribed by the Constitution to vote. Now, granted, even if it has not been stated in our regulations, the practice, the convention that has been established is that when you go through, you file your nominations and you go through vetting, you should be able to get the delegate list. Now, this delegate list that we are talking about is the same group of people who voted in the elections last year. In fact, every single one of them voted in all our elections last year. From the constituency level elections, we use the branch executive data. To the regional elections, we use constituency data. The national elections, we combine constituency information together with region and national. It is basically an aggregation of all this information that we are using in the elections. Evans, incidentally, in the whole of the process last year, you reported copiously what happened at every level of our reorganization. There was no case about delegate list. There was no confusion about any delegate list anywhere. So I presume that there shouldn't be a problem with delegate list. And as my colleagues have alluded to, all of us, representatives of the candidates contesting these elections, we're finished with the delegate list, which is the fundamental document that we use to do the elections. And so, Evans, let me use this opportunity to take you through the process, how we vote. So the Electoral Commission will be giving that list containing the 5 key information indicators that I've given you: the name, the position, the sex, the party ID number. So the individual coming to vote, first of all, would have to come with a party ID card that bears the party ID number on the delegate list. But because we believe that perhaps maybe it will be easier for people to get party ID card, so there may be a case where somebody may impersonate somebody, get a party ID card in that person's name. So we add another level of authentication to identify, to verify the individual that is coming to vote. So we say, for example, that when you present your party ID card, you will need to present your voter ID card or any other national card, including Ghana card, so that we can ascertain whether the name on the Ghana card, well, Ghana card and all those other national ID cards are very difficult to procure. So if you have procured them, then it means that the name in the document, if it corresponds to the name on the ID card, then you are the individual. So Evans, this is the process we have been using in all our elections. So when we went through the process, the party furnished us with a delegate list. We have gone through the delegate list, and we have followed the elections even from last year. And the same people who are on the delegates list are the same people in this delegate list.
So you are satisfied with the credibility of the delegates list you were given?
Certainly. I mean, the delegate list that we were given, the names correspond, and we had no problem. We have checked the constituencies, and they have confirmed that these are the individuals who have been elected, who participated in the elections. This is the trick.
Okay.
Now, this is the angle our friends are coming from. So the party decided at the last meeting, when they announced to us, when we filed our nominations, that, okay, to make the election more transparent and credible, presenting your ID cards to verify the list, perhaps we should add the photos of the individuals in our list, such that when you bring your photo ID, which is the Ghana card or a passport or a party ID card, which bears the photo, they can be also to do some facial recognition or facial verification somewhat. So they are trying to work on that. So that is what we were waiting for from the party until last week, when the party gave us this document. Now, the last meeting, I was not present because I was on the field doing some preparatory works. So a colleague of mine went to the meeting. And in that meeting, the indication was that the preparation of what they consider the photo album to augment the delegate list, which would be used for the election. That photo album is not complete. This is an optional decision that the party has made to improve the transparency. But they indicated that it was not complete and that they had done some 228. So the candidates should take that document and for now, use that for preparatory methods, because we have all been campaigning based on the delegate list they gave us. Because of the delegate list actually even comes with the phone number, what they give us. It comes with the individual's phone numbers. So we have been communicating with the delegates on the ground. So we know all of them. When they gave us the document last week, Monday, they assured us that they will add the 47 constituencies. So we should come for a meeting for an update. And Evans, guess what? It appears that somebody had created a distraction already. So when we got to the meeting, we were presented with a so-called response or a petition from one of the aspirants to the committee. Then I raised a concern that, look, good, it's good that there is a petition. We are all interested because we are all stakeholders in this election. We are interested in the elections. So if one aspirant has raised concerns, it means that that concerns may be answering our questions. Because as we have come to the meeting, who knows, we may also have concerns that we raise. So, it's a very good opportunity for us to break the issues down. Incidentally, the petitioners were not even interested to discuss their petition at the meeting. That was a big surprise to me, because I believe that when you bring out a petition, you expect that the petition will be discussed and the concerns that you have in there will be resolved. But they said, no, it shouldn't be discussed. The committee, that is the electoral committee, we're also thinking that, they want to take time and look at it. But we said, no, let's discuss the petition. Okay, fine. If we are not going to discuss the petition, then the reason why we have been called for the meeting, at least we should hear what the electoral committee has for us. The electoral committee had called us to come and update us on the register, whether they are completed with the 47. As we speak, because of our inability to look at their petition and the fact that we have to postpone the meeting, because they think that we have to go and come back and go and do thorough response and come and give them the thorough response. So we didn't get the update. So perhaps the reason why they may not have the update and we may not have the update as at the time they went to court was that they even failed to listen to what the committee
Dr. Tokono, as we speak tonight, do you have the remainder of the 47?
Yes, we've been finished with the document.
When?
276 constituencies.
When did you get it?
No, we got the document, I think, last night.
Last night, okay.
We've been following.
Okay.
Again, Evans, it will interest you to note that this afternoon, when we met the Electoral Commission, before we left the premise, we all agreed that pending the case in court, there is a case in court which would go and defend. But as political party, as one people, the representatives of the aspirants are to meet at 8 p.m. today so that we can fine-tune any rough edges and, relook at the photo album if we think it is even relevant to do that. And smoothing all the edges and see how we can proceed.
Okay.
Our friends on the other side agreed that we'll do the meeting. And we were told that it's 8 p.m. Only at 8 p.m. we went to the office and we were told that they have refused to come to the meeting, citing the fact that they have sent the matter to court, so they will not talk. I am even surprised Kofi Kukubo is sitting on air. If he has given the excuse that the matter is in court, he doesn't want to discuss it. Why is he even on air? Why is he even discussing the same matter? So it underscores one simple reason behind this action. Somebody wants to just put some sand in some gari and just disrupt the process. Because if we want to solve this, if you have identified a problem, it's Monday, we have time to fix the problem. Bring the problem to the party and let the party address it.
Yeah.
Why will you rush?
Dr. Tokono, stay with me. Thankfully, Kofi is with me. Kofi, respond to that for me.
One, I don't know what he meant by when we brought the request on the 8th of May, we were not ready to discuss it. I think that's absolute falsehood. The decision was taken by the committee, led by Elvis Efrey Ankra, that the issues that were raised were of grievous concern. And they took delivery of the request that same day without studying the request into details or the anomalies that we established into details. So based on that, he will advise, or he is suggesting, that the meeting be postponed so that they can ask their technical people to look into what we have raised. Then when that is done, they will call us back. And as any wise person, we agreed with the chairman of the election committee. So to say that we brought request that day, and he, who was not even at the previous meeting, was requesting that the request should be addressed that same day. I don't know how it was going to be addressed. Because according to the chairman, which indeed was true, we raised certain technical issues. So I don't know how we can look at a piece of paper and discuss technical issues on the day that it was supposed.
So it's true that the last meeting, you didn't want to discuss the details. You didn't want to discuss even your own position.
The chairman stated that it involved technical issues. So for us to discuss it, they must first consult their technical people. I got in the point. And we agree with the chairman. That, okay,
so you're saying that is why your petition was not discussed?
Yes.
Not because you didn't want to discuss your petition?
We submitted it to them. And they said it involves, that's a chairman's statement, it involves technical matters. So they have to hand over to the technical people to examine what we have done first.
He also says at the end that after today's meeting, there was an agreement that you meet at 8 and that you chickened out of this meeting.
We were served. So the lawyer advised that once we were served.
When you say you were served, was you? This is your process?
They asked for abridgment.
Oh, okay, so yes. Okay.
Exactly. So we were served. So the lawyer advised that, look, once we are served, let's wait for Friday. So because everything that will be discussed there will be inconsequential. Because we are served. The way they said that because we served them on Wednesday or Thursday, that's why they did not invite us to take the 47, the remainder of the constituencies. I mean, we took a cue. So once we were served, our lawyer stated, why are we going for a meeting?
Okay, so to be clear, what that means is, as far as the Dr. Dufo camp is concerned, this can only be resolved by the court.
No.
Okay.
When you look at our request, we stated, we suggested 3 positions. Okay. The first one, call a stakeholder meeting.
So this is your request to the party?
To the party.
Okay.
Because this is an internal matter. How do we resolve it? Call all the stakeholders to a round table. Let's discuss the anomalies and arrive at a conclusion. Let's agree on a roadmap on cleaning the voter register. Because according to their statement, which we have a minute to that effect, it is a voter register, which is a photo album that will be used on the day of elections. So therefore, the primary document of election on the 13th, as stated, was going to be the photo album, the voter register. That statement is clear. So now if they're shifting the goalposts in the middle of the game, I don't know where they're coming from. In the guideline, there has never been any mention made of, how do you call it?
Vote, the delegates list.
And now he made mention that even last year or last 2 years, the same delegate list was...
Yeah, he contested. He's referring to something that he has direct knowledge of.
Last year there was no presidential primaries. You see, we should situate this in the proper context. That voter register of delegate list was not used for any presidential election last year. We are talking about a different election in 2023, which they themselves stated that because of the shortfalls in the delegate list, they are going to generate voter register, which is the photo album, to ensure credibility and fair and free elections. They have stated it. And everywhere they state it, we agree. And that is why they started generating this.
Let me see this.
Now, if you know you're not going to use this, if this is inconsequential to the election, why did you invest in this.
So this is the photo album
Correct.
that has become controversial.
That is fraught with inaccuracies. And that is what is going to be used on the day of election.
So this is what you argue. This is what the Electoral Commission will be given.
That is what they promised the Electoral Commission. But the Electoral Commission didn't ask of delegate list. They said, when are you going to submit the voter register?
Yeah, the register.
Exactly. The word is register, not list.
But here's a case where the party and at least one other aspirant say the same thing.
That
The
guidelines.
it is the voters list that was going to be supreme, and that had been given to you as of 20th April. I mean, so you sound you possibly are the lone voice in this. I mean,
No, you're not lone voice.
but Kojo Bonsu also raised the same issue
Exactly.
today and said that there were issues with us as well.
Exactly. So you're not lone voice. Out of 3, 2 people are calling for credible register. So we are not a lone voice. Out of 3 candidates, 2 candidates are saying that we have issues with the register.
Okay. You were served with the abridgment of time today, so you didn't participate in the 8 p.m. Meeting. So you're saying that where it is now, there cannot be an out-of-court settlement.
You see, as of now, even YC has not taken delivery of the register. So what exactly are we going to sit on?
Yeah, but he's now telling you that the remainder of the 47 constituencies is available. They've picked it up.
They picked it up.
So
So they were called to pick it up. We were not called to come and pick the remainder 47. So you can see bias clearly established already that certain candidates have been favored over other candidates because he said they went for it. We are here. Nobody has called us to come and take delivery of the 47. Is that not bias being established by his own statement? Why should other candidates be called to come and take the remainder 47 while others are not called to come and take? So that's a clear bias, which he himself has stated. I'm not the one stating it. He stated it clearly there.
So for the avoidance of doubt, just before, I need to wrap up with him and Abaniba. For the avoidance of doubt, where we are now, only the court can settle this for you.
You see,
I just want to, because if tomorrow they can prove that the full complement that they've given, now they've managed to clean it up and they give it to you, would you be okay to withdraw the case?
the court cannot verify the register.
Okay, so that's what I'm asking. So where you are now is only the court that will settle this matter for you.
Where we are now is to guarantee credible register.
Yeah.
What we are asking for to ensure that we have credible voter register is postponement so that we have a roundtable discussion to clean the register.
So you're saying that if the party can agree to postpone and chart and design a roadmap to clean it, you're ready to withdraw the case?
This does not need court to determine that. This is an internal election.
So for you, the only thing now immediately that will change your mind or withdraw the case is agree to postpone and let's do a plan towards cleaning it.
Correct.
Okay. I need to wrap up with you, Dr. Tokunov, very briefly. You've heard him. And so clarify, were you called to come and pick the remainder 47 constituencies?
He has already stated that.
Sorry, please unmute for me. Please unmute.
Evans, before we left the meeting on Monday, in front of Mr. Kofi Kukubo and Mr. Rojo Metonun, they indicated that we can pick up the register. I even said there that I have brought my hard drive to pick up the register. It was mentioned in the meeting before they left that we could pick up the register. And they were even making fun of us that we didn't pick the register the previous Thursday. So I don't know what he's talking about. But you see, let's move to a more substantial issue.
If you can do briefly for me.
They have made yes, briefly. I mean, they've made the claim that as part of their remedies, the first and foremost remedy, they are seeking a stakeholder meeting to resolve these matters. So how does he describe the meeting we're supposed to do this evening, 8 p.m.? Is it not a stakeholder meeting? In actual fact, that meeting did not even only invite aspirants' representatives. Party officials, national chairman, and other council of elders members were going to be part of the meeting together with the electoral committee. Very comprehensive representative stakeholder meeting. You refused, and you are on air talking about the same issues you think you were stopped from talking about. It's most ridiculous. And again, please take note of this. Delegates list in every political party is the voter register of the political party. Just for some education for my brother, delegate list is the voter register, is the other name for voter register for political parties. So when you are given a delegate list, you are being given a voter register. Whether it comes with a picture or without a picture, it's a voter register. And again, Evans, in 2019, we used delegate list without photos as the voter register.
For the presidential primary.
Yes, please, 2019. When the Electoral Commission requests for a voter register from a political party, they are requesting for a delegate list from the voter, the political party. So this is just by way of education to my brother, if he doesn't know. But again, Evans, our point is that we all want the best for these elections. A flawed, non-credible voter register is not good for President Mahama, it's not good for any other person contesting the elections. But when there is no case, we shouldn't make any to just frustrate the process. And you could see clearly from the response he gave you, Evans, that the idea is not to solve and fix any delegate list. The idea is to extend the Congress, the elections, so that maybe they might have time to do other things. There is an ulterior motive behind this mission. And it is not a mission to fix any credible voter register. Because the register that we have, there is no problem with it.
Well,
if the party...
Dr. Tokuno, you believe there's no problem, they believe there is. But thank you very much. Yes? What you have an ulterior motive?
You see, that's a propaganda. So I don't blame him. He's in GM's camp. So he has to do propaganda to appease the grassroots. Now, this is what we are trying to establish. They think what we are requesting for is only for the benefits of Dr. Kwabena Dufo. No. How will it feel for a delegate to travel a long distance to a voting center only to discover that his name or her name is not in the register? That means he's being denied his or her fundamental right to vote and choose the person that he or she wants to represent him or her. And this is the crux of the matter. That as much as the three candidates may be will be the beneficiaries, but the right of the grassroots, the delegates, to vote must be guaranteed. And we are saying that can only be guaranteed through a credible voter register.
Kofi, thank you very much for joining me. Dr. Peter Bomo Tokuno and Amaliba, I'm grateful. Earlier, you heard the Director of Electoral Services at the Electoral Commission, Dr. Subo Kweku. Enjoy the rest of your evening.